Good afternoon. Good to be with you today as we study another fascinating hymn. This hymn's title, as you see on the lower left of the screen, Safe in the Arms of Jesus. Probably not 1 in 50 Christians today have probably even heard that hymn, but in its time it was one of the most popular hymns by Fanny Crosby. The scripture that follows this hymn is taken from the book of Mark, chapter 10, verse 16, talking about Jesus gathering the small children around him. And the scripture says, "And he, Jesus, took them up in his arms, laid his hands on them, and he blessed them." On March the 5th of 1858, Fanny Crosby, the blind hymnist and America's queen of gospel songs, quietly married Alexander Van Alstyne. I was able to come up with a photograph of this young couple. Now, her husband Alexander was a professor at the New York Institute of the Blind. He was a gifted composer, musician, was actually a professor there at age 23 and a very fine organist, one of the finest organists in all of the New York area, despite the fact that he was blind. A year later, the couple, Fanny and Alexander, suffered a tragedy that shook the deepest regions of Fanny's heart. Now, you remember in our past studies who Fanny was, a small child that had lost her sight as an infant by some bad medicine that was placed on her eyes to heal an infection, caused her to be blind. She went on to be a wonderful, powerful source for God, to inspire many people with the hymns and the poetry that she'd written, thousands of hymns, and ministered to folks all around the world with her beautiful text. The tragedy that shook their lives was this. She gave birth to a child, and no one knows if it was a little boy or a girl. And years later, she never spoke about it except to say in her oral biography, "God gave us a tender babe, and soon the angels came down and took our infant up to God in his throne." One of Fanny's relatives, whose name was Florence Payne, lived with her for 6 years and could never even get her to talk about this tragedy in her life. This child's death seemed to have devastated her, and she, Fanny, bore the sadness all of her life. Many years later, on April 30th of 1868, the musician Howard Doane knocked on the door of Fanny's apartment in Manhattan, New York. "I have exactly 40 minutes," he said, "before I must board the train to Cincinnati. I have a tune for you. See if this tune says anything to you. Perhaps you can commit the tune to memory and then compose a poem later to match it." He then hummed the tune to Fanny. Fanny clapped her hands and she said, "Why, that says, 'Safe in the Arms of Jesus.'" She retreated to the other room where she got on her knees and prayed to the Lord very quickly, knelt on the floor, and asked God to give her the words. Within half an hour, she composed the poem in her mind, and then she dictated it to Doane, who then dashed off to catch his train back to Cincinnati. During her lifetime, that poem and hymn, "Safe in the Arms of Jesus," was among most of the widely sung hymns of all the thousands that Fanny had written. And she considered it to be in a class by itself. She claimed it was written for the bereaved, especially for mothers who had lost their children. Often comforting a stricken mother, she would say, "Remember, my dear, your darling cherub is safe in the arms of Jesus." The Reverend John Hall of New York's Fifth Avenue Presbyterian Church told Fanny that her hymn had given more peace and satisfaction to mothers who had lost their children than any other hymn he had ever known. It isn't too hard to understand why when we hear this word. Safe in the arms of Jesus, safe on his gentle breast. There by his love o'ershadowed, sweetly my soul shall rest. Hark, 'tis the voice of angels borne in a song to me, over the fields of glory, over the jasper sea. Safe in the arms of Jesus, safe from corroding care, safe from the world's temptation, sin cannot harm me there. Free from the blight of sorrow, free from my doubts and fears. Only a few more trials, only a few more tears. Jesus, my heart's dear refuge, Jesus has died for me. Firm on the rock of ages, ever my trust shall be. Here let me wait with patience, wait till the night is o'er, wait till I see the morning break on that golden shore. We know, if we're a child of God's, that we are safe in the arms of Jesus. Let me encourage you to find inspiration from these hymns from Dr. Robert Morgan. The collection, Then Sings My Soul. Find them, let them be an inspiration to you. Especially find Safe in the Arms of Jesus. For in your life there will come tragedy. You will meet a young mother who has lost a child. In fact, I will share this hymn with my daughter-in-law who has lost a baby, stillborn baby. Even today, I'll share that with her. May you be safe in the arms of Jesus.